Lesson 9.1, Video 4. So let's graph this rational function with the information we've just talked about. It says first to identify the vertical asymptote and the horizontal asymptote of each, then make a table of values to sketch the graph. Now we know from above that given a rational function like that, anything that causes the denominator to become 0 is an excluded value. So I'm going to start this out, and I would say excluded value is x cannot be a -2. Because if I plug in -2 into that function in the denominator, I get 0. Now, the excluded value is that x cannot be -2. So the relationship is that your vertical asymptote is a vertical line that's equal to that value. So I go to the graph, and at -2, at -2 it would be undefined. So I'll put a dotted line on the graph at -2, creating a barrier that tells the reader that value is off limits. You also have a horizontal asymptote, which would be the value of whatever is added or subtracted from the fraction. Well, there's nothing there. So your horizontal asymptote is a horizontal line, and it's y equal to whatever that value is, and there's nothing there, so it's like writing +0. So there's your barrier. And when you start to graph this, you'll see that your graph never crosses these dotted lines. Now, as recommended, to graph or to make a table from this, we want to know where that vertical asymptote is, because we know that our graph is on both sides of that. So that's basically the center of our graph. So I'm going to plug in points that are on both sides of that vertical dotted line. So I'm going to plug in -4, I'm going to plug in -3, -2, because that's the middle of it basically then, -1, 0, 1, 2. Now when I plug in those values, all I'm doing is taking -4 and plugging it into that position. So I will have 2 over, and -4 plus 2 is a -2, and that will give us -1. If I do that for each value, I'll get -2 for -3. -2 is undefined. -1 will give us 2. 0 will give us 1. And then we have 2/3 and 1/2. So if I plug those two values in, or all those values into the graph, I have -4 is -1, -3 is -2, -2 is undefined, -1 is 2, now it's way up here, 0 is 1, 1 is 2/3, and 2 is 1/2, and so on. So notice that our graph approaches that vertical or that horizontal asymptote but will not cross it. And if I go this way, it approaches that vertical asymptote but will not cross it. And again, there's 4 sections here, and our graph will take up 2 of those sections. So I've taken up the upper right hand section, and the way the relationship is, it'll be the opposite, or flip over the where the 2 dotted lines cross, and I'll take up the opposite quadrant. And this one will again approach the horizontal asymptote but not cross it. And if I go this way, it'll approach the vertical asymptote but not cross it. So again, very careful so that we don't cross those dotted lines. Those are barriers. And if we plotted more points, it'd become more clear, but it would follow this relationship. And this ends Lesson 9.1, Video 4.